boy Bleeds. Everybody listen up. Let's get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket. That crypto wallet. That bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bleeds Crypto Show. Happy Monday. May not be that happy for you because the market is dumping, but the title that I gave you was last night before everything happened. And look, I told you last week in my live. Now, by the way, some of you may not have seen the live streams last week for the trading show in the evenings because it's something new that I'm doing and I'm not consistent with it yet because I haven't really created a schedule for it. But I've been telling you all week long that a dump was coming, that the natural movements of the market are going to predicate that we are going to have a serious dump. I also gave you entry positions. Some of those got triggered. Some of them dipped even further to your secondary buy level. So, you saw a lot of movement to the downside. We're going to look in on all of it and see, did we get a big win or are we positioning ourselves for a big win? And by the way, when I say this, I want you to understand the market could go down a little bit more. We're possibly not done yet with Bitcoin eyeing $3,700 right now, along with Bitcoin possibly looking at a move down to 105,000 in the short term. So make sure you hit the like button on the way in. We'll break this all down for you, and then we'll get you on your way so that you can go back to making some money. All right, hit that like button on your way in. First of all, China orders brokers to halt real-world asset business in Hong Kong. So now we have China instructing domestic brokerages to pause real-world asset tokenization activity. The China Security Regulatory Commission issues an informal guidance to at least two major brokerages, and the policy divide underscores China's restrictive stance versus Hong Kong's ambition to be Asia's digital financial hub. Okay, according to Reuters, the China Security Regulatory Commission has issued informal guidance to at least two leading brokerages. They advise them to suspend their tokenization businesses in Hong Kong. The directive reflects Beijing's concern over the growth of offshore digital asset markets and aims to tighten risk management around RWAs. RWA tokenization typically involves converting traditional assets such as equities, bonds, funds, or real estate into blockchain-based tokens that can be traded digitally. So what happened? Immediately, we saw China step in and try to stop and stifle the innovation that's leading to people looking at other markets. What they want is they want Chinese people focusing on the Chinese markets only, and they don't want other people being able to intercede on it. So why does this matter? Well, if RWA tokenization is successful in China, then very rapidly you could start to see US citizens buying Chinese assets, and you could start to see a devaluation of China in that regard. That's the fear. Now, would that logically happen? I mean, it's possible. It depends on what people want. Chinese stocks, Chinese bonds, they don't want people in their markets. They want to control their own markets. And that leads to what we're doing right here. Since binding Manning, I can't even say words straightly today. Please get your shit together. Since banning cryptocurrency trading and mining in 2021, China has consistently sought to minimize risks tied to digital assets. Just last month, regulators reportedly instructed major brokers to cease publishing research that supports stablecoins. By contrast, Hong Kong has taken the opposite approach, and now China is trying to come down on this. Timsky says, hey, Believes, I might be slow on this, but will RWA take too much fiat away from local markets? No. I mean, there's a possibility that something like that could happen. However, the ease by which you convert money from fiat to stablecoin is simple. We're not even talking about a complicated process. So the ultimate answer to this is no, it's not, because all it's going to do is add to a bigger liquidity pool. Also, at the very beginning, not everybody is going to do it, because the people with the money, the billionaires up at the top, they tend to be the older people who like to have the fiat. They like to have the stablecoin, and they don't think that they don't think that this new technology is anything to take seriously. Remember, that's where the dot-com bubble came from. And then we started to break even higher to the upside, because then even they realized it. First they reject it, then they fight it, then they adopt it. That's it. First they fight it, and they reject it, then they adopt it. And that's what's happening right now with all of this. But I mean, easy. It takes you a minute and a half to convert your stablecoin to fiat. It's a simple process. So it really has no bearing on it, not long term. However, even if that were the case, even if we supposed that that was going to be the case, everybody would just move their fiat into stable, and they would still continue to do the trading and buying and everything like that. So it really, and by the way, since we're pegged to the dollar, nothing's going to happen. Also, remember that we have a lot, almost most stable coins are pegged to the US dollar, but there's going to be very soon, we're going to start to see it, because this is an arms race. This is an arms race. So you're going to see a Russian ruble stablecoin. You're going to see a Chinese yuan stablecoin. Of course, they already have one, but you're going to see more of it. You're going to see what do they use in Japan? Seashells. You're going to see Japanese seashells. It's not seashells. Oh, well then, why do they live on an island and eat fish? What the fuck? You know what I mean? Canadian dollars. It'll be colorful on the blockchain, but there'll be pesos. There'll be a stable coin for pesos. Like, we're going to see a lot of forex happening as well. Like, don't forget, all of those things are still out there ready to happen. Right now, it's just USD that we're using, but there's going to be a lot of other ones that we'll see. So I'm not worried about that at all. But not only did that happen, but Japan last night. This is what started everything. Japan's 10-year treasury yield. This is today, okay? Their yield is up a little bit more today. Like, this is an all-time high, okay? Japan is raising their rates. They're raising their rates because their economy is not doing very well at all. And the businesses are doing what what America's doing. The businesses are doing what America's doing. They're just they're ignoring the problems and letting the rich get richer. I mean, that's hashtag MAGA, hashtag RNC. You know what I mean? Like, it's just what we do. Hashtag Uniparty, hashtag DNC, hashtag Democrats. You know what I mean? Like, it's what we all do. All right. We give money to the rich because they know better than everybody else. And Japan is now paying for that. So you're seeing these bond yields go through the roof. Okay. So you're seeing it continue to climb. And what's happening? People are taking their money out of risk assets and they're moving their money. And by the way, this is not the only reason. Remember, there is a natural cycle to everything. There's tops, there's bottoms, there's tops, there's bottoms. During the course of the natural cycle, this comes out. We get higher rates. Japanese people say, you know what? It's time to move off. So then what happens? What happens is a few people, especially whales, decide, hey, that's probably what we need to do, is de-risk a little bit and get some of that guaranteed cheddar that happens, right? So then what do you see? Then you see the market start to just break completely down. And by the way, I'm going to remove the money supply, because the money supply is still going up, by the way. So, if you're fearful right now, you are what the French call retarded. Okay. Now, I gave you this channel last week, and I told you that it was my expectation that we would fly through this channel, probably touching the bottom, coming back up for another round. And guess what? We absolutely wicked off of it. And look, you got to take a victory lap when you get a victory lap. But we called this a week ago. said that this is probably what's going to happen, and then we would rapidly get a move back up here into this range right here over the next couple of days. So I expect to see about $300 billion come back into the market. Now, here's the question. The question was, is this enough? And I don't think that I think the answer to that looks like yes right now, but I don't think this is enough to really shake people so that we can start the next process. Just my opinion. This right here did not wick down to this range, okay? There's still a big gap right there. And by the way, it doesn't have to have perfect symmetry every time. If I zoom out here, you can see these uptrends that happen every once in a while. And sometimes you just don't come back down right here and you just don't test that region, right? Sometimes you're bullish and things continue to move and it doesn't make any sense. Sometimes you see this little stick right here and you test it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, dip down 4 times before you break down. And then you go up to a higher level. So you never really know exactly what's going to happen. You never really know. However, you can make guesses on it because it's all based on human sentiment. So in the human sentiment standpoint, right now, we had a perfect move, perfect position. I'm still looking for some more downward momentum. However, Bitcoin dominance, guess what? Spiking up super hard. Why? Because Bitcoin is having a bit of Bitcoin's not moving up, but Bitcoin is moving down far less than everything else. What does that mean? That tells us, number one, capital rotation. And that is not stable coins, but altcoins. The liquidity is being pulled from altcoins to put it back into Bitcoin for another Bitcoin rally. That's what we're looking at right now is the start of that rally, getting itself set up and getting itself positioned. And these guys are secretive. They're going to do it behind closed doors. They're going to hide it from you. You're not going to see it outright. You're not going to see all the shit happening in front of you because then you would be in on the game. And if you were in on the game, then you would make all the money and they wouldn't make all the money. Okay. This is backdoor bullshit that they're doing, but that's the nature of this market. So what we said last week was Bitcoin probably going to have a big rally. In order for the altcoin season, in order for us to have altcoin season, the real altcoin season that we're looking for. By the way, every analyst is telling you it's coming in October. Nobody's telling you that it's coming in September. Guess what? It's September. So if you thought it was going to be today, my friend, you are RONLPGNQ. Wrong. Or whatever the fuck they spell. I don't know. So what do I expect right now? I expect that we're going to see a massive surge. And by the way, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. The reason that I'm saying that is because we're not at max pain yet. And every time we get those moments, every time we get those big movements, it requires max pain. Here's max pain right here on Bitcoin dominance, right? And then what happened? Boom, 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 goes so much higher. We got max pain. Do we have max pain right here is the question. I don't know that we do, but we're going to see a big move coming, right? So let's go look at Bitcoin now. Bitcoin, what I tell you, I told you there's some entry and exit positions, right? That you're going to have to be very careful. But what did I expect ultimately? That we're in the heart line. Remember this? We had this conversation, I want to say on Friday. On Friday, I said, we're kind of in the heart line. This is not an entry position, but if you are going to enter, then, maybe, just maybe, you can get yourself a nice little entry at 114,000. Well, we're down even below that to 112,000 on this dip. But it was expected because 114,000 was where that pool of liquidity is. Now, let's zoom out. What are we looking for? We're looking for, and why do we put it right there? We wanted to be our entry position was going to be a little bit higher than what we were going to bounce off of, right? And that's exactly where we bounced. So could this be beginning of an uptrend? I don't think so. What could happen? What could happen is we get a big surge up into here. That is entirely possible. And we could be looking at $150,000 Bitcoin in a moment's notice. Like we could be looking at something like that happening just out of nowhere and going absolutely nanners, absolutely crazy. By the way, again, what I look for is tops. We got one right here, or bottoms, bottom. We are clearly in a serious uptrend right now. However, that is a tightening channel. When we look at it on the weekly, zoom out here just a little bit. Let's look at it on the weekly and let's pull up Bollinger Bands on the weekly. And guess what? We're starting to tighten up real tight. Last time we did that, boom, new high. What are we doing right now? Tightening up again. We got real tight right here. What happened? Boom, new high. So we're in the spot right now where the next leg up, if you will, is getting ready to happen. Now, if you look at it on the daily, you're not seeing it the same way, not yet, right? So we've still got some moves to do on the shorter time frames. Still, I think there's still a little consolidation to go right here. This is a big candle for the day, by the way. This is going to open up the Bollinger Band because you have this massive candle, but you had started to get this little tightening right here. Then you got that break towards the upside. You got that move, that recovery, if you will. But now you need a little bit of consolidation in this range for that next move. So again, just my opinion, but I think I'm right. I think I'm right on this one, that the most likely scenario is an upside move based on capital inflow. However, the healthiest move for this market right now would probably be a breakdown. All right. It would probably the easiest thing to do right here would be a breakdown into, remember I said 95,000 not that long ago. That's be the easiest move right there, to move into that 95,000 range. Now, doesn't mean it's going to happen. Again, we could see this big move up here. We might not get that dip, and then we get that breakdown, and that breakdown doesn't go below 100,000. It is possible we never see Bitcoin under 100,000 again until we get into the deepest parts of the bear market. Now, in the deepest parts of the bear market, then remember, this is where ultimately we're looking at a replay in that 70 to 75,000 range. That's where the dip is for that next market. So we could see Bitcoin rip down below 100,000 very, very, very soon. Remember, when all of this money starts to get made, when all of these people start to have all of this Bitcoin, and all this Bitcoin is in profit, and Michael Saylor's got the bills coming due and shit like that, he's going to start selling. He's going to have to sell to make his profit. And then it would be nonsensical. It would be nonsensical to not sell at 150 or 250. If you get that crazy run, there is a point at which you want to sell, because there is an opportunity at that point to take that profit, pay your investors back, and then buy it for yourself without the leverage position, and thus increase your exposure through natural trading. So watch for something like that to happen at some point. And when that happens, other places are going to do the same thing. They're going to sell because they want they're going to make the profit, because they think that they'll be able to buy a dip, and they'll buy back in, and they'll get in heavier. Like it's inevitable that some of this stuff is going to happen. Nonetheless, we are now in the middle of, and by the way, there is what the fuck am I looking for here? All right, so this, no, you don't want the ray. God damn it. That's not what I wanted. We got this. Why am I not finding a ray? Oh shit, there. No, it's not the ray. God damn it. The fuck was that? You know what? I can't even remember what I'm looking for at this point. God damn it. I just lost my brain. Anyway, we're going to see right now an aggressive top, a less aggressive top. So we're starting to see a slowdown in the market. So again, that's where I think consolidation comes into play. We're not running it up to the top. Now, if we run it up to the top over the next little while, that thesis will change. Then we will be, we're going to be wrong. Right? That's why it's a thesis, because it's just a theory that we're operating under right now. The operating theory right now is we got a little consolidation right here, and then the most likely move is a break back upside, because liquidity is still pumping into the market. Now, look at it from the context of where we are right now, zoomed out. We are in this consolidation phase right here. The next move is going to be so much higher, right? Now, let's go back and let's test this one more time. This bond yield won't stay this way, because every time it goes up like this, what happens? You get a breakdown. Every time it goes up like this, you get a breakdown. Every time it goes up like this, you get a breakdown. Now, smaller breakdowns are a sign that the market is reaching a blow off. And then you're going to see that daggerish sort of move at that point. That's what I would be looking for. If we look at this from a 5-year, look at that. There's peaks and valleys in everything. The rates continue to increase. There has to be a breakdown at some point, and there has to be a reversal. Dr. Profit is calling for 90K Bitcoin. I would be interested to see him right, because remember, this is the guy that told you less than 6 months ago that Bitcoin was going to 50K. Okay, 48K was his number, by the way. He wasn't even close. He wasn't even close. And in fact, here's what happened. Just for full disclosure on Dr. Profit, and by the way, I should tell you the reason that I know this is because I saw him too. Dr. Profit. I think it's Dr. Profit Crypto. Is that right there? Yeah, look at this. Dr. Profit Crypto has blocked you. Now, why did he block me? Well, he blocked me because I was right and he was wrong, and I pointed it out. Because I said, you're full of shit. There's no way it's going to 48,000. Like, how dumb could you be? The only way that it goes to $70,000 is if Michael Saylor sells. So what did I say was going to happen? That we were going to go to 75,000. At 75,000, we were going to start pumping. And that goes back into April. Okay. This was in April. And guess what? I was right. He was full of shit. And by the way, he was near the bottom of this box. That's what he was saying was going to happen. He was sure of it, by the way. Sold everything, changed all of his positions, et cetera, et cetera. And then do you know what that ingracious little piece of shit did? Then what he did was, and this is when I put the fucking big nose on him and said, you fucking clown, was because he did this. This happened right here. Okay. And the reversal started immediately. So it goes right here. And then I'm like, aha, fucking right again. And we start to rip again, right? And what does he say? He then says, oh, changed my thesis, entered longs right here. Did you guys not see it? LOL, or whatever the fuck he says in broken English. And now the reversal is in. And everybody else was like, wait a minute, you fucking goon. You just said it was coming all the way down here. What do you mean you called it? You didn't call anything. You were completely wrong. And he was like, dip is enough, going back up. And he just changed it. And he changes it on a dime. And then he pretends like he was right. I mean, that's really what happened. And I called him out on it. And I showed him his own post where he said that this was the area that we were going to, right here. And I said, this is how wrong you were, okay? This is how much money you cost everybody. This is how much they lost based on listening to you. And he blocked me. So that's why I know Dr. Profit. And that's why it's not going to 90,000. However, it could go to 95,000. You know what I mean? Now, here's the other part. That would mean that he's doing a disservice to fund flow, that he's ignoring the capital inflows coming into all risk markets, right? Which is silly for a grown ass man to do that, where people can see. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems stupid at that point. So, you know, I don't know. I don't think so. Now, the other thing is, what could be happening here is a move down into, and by the way, this does mean that Bitcoin could go down into the 105,000 range. If this comes down into this little spot right here, which is like right in here, right in here, right in here. This is where a lot of analysts right now are predicting Ethereum, and Ethereum is weak. So Ethereum is looking as weak as it was before all over again. So we could see a move down into this range just to shake people out. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for that catastrophic sort of dip. Now, that happens, then Solana, same thing. Solana, we got our entry position. By the way, let me just point out here that if you listen to me on my lives and we did our entry position at 220, then not only did it get triggered, you are now, right now, in profit. Now you're up. If you did a 5x leverage, you're only up 5 or 10% or whatever the number is. You're up a small amount right now, but guess what? You're up. And it looks like, based on all of this, that it's going to continue. Now, if you got in on this little dip right here for the rally and it went so much higher, you won. You know what I mean? So now what do we look for? We look for another leg up in this rally. So what happened to XRP? Guess what? There it is right there. You got exactly what I told you was going to happen. Like, I don't make this shit up. Not only did it come down into 270. Remember this. Last week I was telling you guys 270 on XRP. If it goes there, it's going to be a fucking gift, right? 270 got triggered, and where are we at right now? 285. So if you did this, you're up 70% already on your long position. So if you put yourself into those positions, you are welcome, because it wicked exactly where I told you it was going to wick. It did exactly what I told you it was going to do. Got a strong buyback. Will it stay that way? I don't know. That part I don't know. But you got a big, big, bold, and aggressive move. Just like that. So that's why you listen. That's why you pay the $4.99 a month, by the way. Chainlink. Look at this. Guys, we don't make this shit up, right? What happened? We got a dip down to exactly where I told you it was going to bounce from. And what did it do? Strong bounce in that position. It's easy. You just have to do it. SWE, we did not get a breakdown. Now, this is where the thesis starts to change. It would be my belief that because SWE did not break down like that, that SWE is going to be strong, and that SWE is going to have a strong rally. That SWE is now waiting. So if you want to buy some right now, might not be the worst thing that you did, especially when you consider right now at 339, seems like a pretty safe bet that it's going to be at 450 again real soon. So SWE having a big move, probably not going to end poorly here. I wouldn't use a leverage position because you never know, but looking real good right now. Also, I was clowning the other day on Cardano at 86 cents, calling it a stable coin, joking around, all that kind of stuff. And guess what? It did not go down to my projected level. Now, when I said my projected level over here, like, you know, maybe here, like, I don't have any faith in Cardano. So I'm looking at this little wick right here as a, 74, something like that, as an entry position. So this tells me we could go lower, or same as with SWE, we're just starting to get bullish. Even though nobody's trading on Cardano, nobody's doing shit on Cardano. Cardano's generating fees of like $20,000 a day or some stupid, ridiculous, low ass number. Like, doesn't make any money. You know what I mean? It's Cardano. It's not making any money. But Charles Hoskinson, he's been hanging out with Donald Trump and, doing everything he can to get more exposure for Cardano for his investors. And that is enough to maybe get some kind of deal done, to get something done where Cardano starts to have some serious value and it could break out. It's looking pretty bullish right now. I mean, when you look at it and you zoom out, you go back to May, top, you're up, you're even up right there. So you're still in a bullish trend right now. So that bullish trend should lead to another top up here. So $5, $10, maybe even where I gave you up here, $1.20, right into that range right there. Maybe this is where that breakout happens. See what I'm saying? Like, it matches up with exactly what I think was going to happen anyway. So maybe Cardano's finally, something's happened here. Also, Avalanche, not even close, which means that Avalanche just went incredibly bullish. Now, when we were doing this thesis right here, we were looking at it from this range right here. And then remember, we did that on Monday of last week and then Tuesday of last week. And then what happened to Cardano or into Avalanche? It took off. It just went boom. So it went a lot higher. So in going a lot higher, it came back down to test. So if you want to enter, or you're looking for an entry position, then guess what? Right kind of there at about $27, that's going to be an adjusted entry position. But like, we just immediately flipped super bullish on Avalanche starting to move. So we adjust our thesis based on that. and hopefully we get a $27 entry position. Near protocol, what I tell you on the same thing, broke out, but it broke down, getting bought back real strongly. Didn't give you a buy position, but H bar still hasn't reached that 20 cents. Again, this was me not being bullish on the project in itself and looking at I wanted an entry position that was going to be a guaranteed win, not a potential win, right? That's what I'm looking for. And these tops over here tell me that we got a lot of opportunity right there. Now, what we did not look at was this little spot right here, which is where the bounce looks like it kind of came from right there. If you move this over to the top right there, then guess what? You got that wick right there. So that makes sense from that standpoint. But I got a feeling that if we get any bearishness and we get any more downward momentum, this is going to be a legendary entry position. I think there's going to be a rapid move, by the way. I think we're going to get a rapid move if we come down, up. Like we're going to get a violent move to the upside. All of the data says that that's what's going to happen. Sonic Chain broke down. I'm looking for Sonic Chain to make a move up here around October again for the holidays, and we're going to have a big move. Now, one of them that just has not broken down nearly like we were anticipating or hoping was Arrow. Arrow is still just kind of mooning right now. Even in the dip that we had right now, look at the number here. Like this is the candle for the day. It got bought up. Like it's only down 1% while the rest of the market is just getting brutalized, right? It's like Bitcoin right now. So what does that mean? Buy yourself some Arrow because Arrow is not done yet. That's what it looks like. So if you haven't, you might want to grab yourself a little bit of it because I got a feeling here on this one that it's going to just break out. Now, Pendle broke down, did not break all the way down, but it got close enough that we, that I think that was a pretty safe position right there. Let's remove Fibonacci here and focus on where we are. We broke down to the bottom of that channel, not exactly, but we got pretty close. That's why your buy orders are always set just a little bit above exactly where you could be dumping down to. Hindsight's always 20/20. We're still bullish though, because again, we got a low, we got a low, we got a low, a low, a low, and they're all higher. They're all higher. And the same thing up here. They're all higher. So we're still incredibly bullish on Pendle, looking for Pendle to have a breakout up here into the $7 range. That's again, when we're going to sell at $7 and we're going to see what happens. If we get a nice little dip, we're going to play that market exactly. We have 10,000 Pendle right now. So we're just waiting for that opportunity. We got it on crypto.com, by the way. So we got 10,000 Pendle, $10,000 worth of Pendle. I'm sorry, it's like 2,500. And we'll see what happens from there. But Arrow, I think, is going to have a big, big rip. OM, I am getting tired of being wrong about OM, though. Look at this. OM broke down to 15 cents. Again, OM happens to be something that because it's mantra, because it's leaning into OM, because it's leaning into all these different things. It's got a Western, it's got a Western Asian sort of vibe on it. So the Asian communities like it a lot. So there, again, when you have a sell down, when you have a massive sell off, then you're getting exactly what you expect to happen. It's down 16% on the day. When I woke up this morning, I was just pissed off because I was like, God damn it. If I would just listen to myself sometimes and be shrewd all the time. Remember, I continued to accumulate OM and API3 and didn't think that it was going to dip like it did right here. Now, I do think that it'll have a quick recovery. Look at this. If you look at it, again, we're doing it on the hour, so it looks a little different here, but you can see it broke down to 15 cents, and then it just seems to like kind of start curling around a little bit. Market's still bearish, but we could see a reversal off of it. I'm not sure yet. But I'm going to hold on because I got a feeling that the reversal will be epic and legendary. And we're just kind of, again, a weak project that doesn't have anything that's broken out yet. Like we really haven't had a moment of a breakout. And I just think that there's going to be a violent move to the upside. Okay. I just, again, this was the result of one investor and people are not that stupid. Well, I shouldn't say that. People are not so stupid that working technology is not something that they don't want to like. This is working, functioning technology that continues to accumulate both new holders and new clients. So it's a revenue generating machine right now, and it's only a matter of time before people recognize that. So that's why I say that, Mantra is going to have a ridiculous run at some point to recover and recapture some of that magic. Now, Devi do what Believe said Devi going to do, right? It did exactly what I said. Also, it looks like a broadening wedge at this point. So, what I was hoping for is a break up to about 70 cents so that we could get some bullish confirmation. But, it's September 22nd. It's September 22nd, and they have a roadmap out that says that they are going to have all kinds of shit by the end of September, and it is 8 days away, and they got nothing. So, I don't know. They've been very quiet. Austin was on vacation. He's back. They're kind of going through a few things right now. And I saw Tom starting to make comments again on Telegram. I saw Austin getting into Telegram, starting to make some comments. I started to see these guys, they're getting a little more active all of a sudden. So, maybe we'll see something. Maybe we'll see kind of a, something in the next couple of days. I don't know yet. You know what I mean? Again, like I told you guys, I reached out to them about partnering back up, and they said, nope, we don't like some of the comments that you made. So, and the reason that I was doing that, because I want to do a giveaway for you guys to just to try to, because I believe in the project. I'm still holding. I'm not going to sell. Do you think their partner is telling him not to push this? Well, of course. And actually, I don't know that that's the case. They don't give a shit. Like they look, if the partner is NASDAQ, if I'm right about it and it is NASDAQ, they don't care whether or not they're pushing their project or not. They don't give a shit about that. They don't care what the value is of Devi. That's inconsequential. What's consequential to them is the technology and how they can apply it to their business model. That's the only thing that they care about. What Devi does is what and remember, by the way, they said they were going to do some marketing, by the way, and they were going to start with coin market cap or something ridiculous. And there's nothing going on at coin market cap. If you come over here and so their marketing right now appears to be, it doesn't even refresh over here for me. So, their marketing right now is to make posts on CoinMarketCap. So I'm not really sure how I'm not really sure, what's going on. That's not great to me. But again, let me say this one more time. I don't think that it matters at all what they do right now. If they pump their bags at this point, they are pumping people who are just going to sell and exit, and that's ridiculous, okay? To me, anyway. So the fact that they're not pumping anything, they're not promoting anything, the fact that they're not doing anything. And by the way, I don't mean that they're not doing anything at all, but they're not doing anything in terms of giving it a push and a market, is because they shouldn't. It's irresponsible, in my opinion, for them to do something like that right now when they don't have the technology lined up in place and ready for serious promotion. If I go out there right now and I buy $1 million worth of advertising for Devi, could I pump the chart to $2? Probably. Probably push it to $2, maybe even $3, because it was at $2 before. So I could probably even push it to $3. If I get the right marketing, the right everything in place, then I could probably push Devi up like that. But guess what? Then at some point, after the initial hype of marketing, people are going to look around. They're going to be like, this product doesn't do anything. There's no live blockchain. There's no real reason for revenue generation. And the staking sucks. So what am I doing here? And then they're going to sell. And then you're going to just fall back down. So it'd be a waste of $1 million. That is my opinion. I could be wrong about that. All right. The only thing that's going to really give them upward momentum is the announcement of partners that earn revenue, that they're going to earn revenue from, turning it into something that people want to be part of. Now, as with anything, if that happens and it is NASDAQ, then this thing blows up, right? And then all of a sudden you just become, if you decide not to sell, you just become a liquidity provider for the Dev exchange. So then you earn yield and you make money off of what everybody else is trading and doing. Okay, so this is an absolute win. We got Crypto Princess in the house. What is going on? Hope you're having a good day. Jay Manuel says that he's buying more Devi. You should always look. It is my opinion that Devi is going to be the class of crypto in the next 3 to 4 months. Like, we're at the end of the year. All of their roadmap said they were going to do it by the end of the year. So, by the way, look at this right here. This is from Kobayashi. Stocks are rising like the U.S. economy is soaring. Oil prices are falling like we're entering a recession. Gold is rising like the Fed is cutting rates for inflation. Bitcoin is falling like Fed rate cuts are postponed. Home prices are rising like more rate cuts are coming. Treasury yields are rising like stagflation has arrived. The market is entering a new era of monetary policy. It's getting very, very weird right now. And by the way, Salty Doc says, where are housing markets appreciating? They're not. U.S. home prices, as measured by the ICE Home Price Index, rose 1.1% on a year-over-year basis between August 2024 and August 2025. And Bitcoin is falling, okay? Just in case you didn't realize it. Like, and look, they're doing it right now to be present in the moment, just so you guys understand. When you zoom out, they're idiots, right? But they're not really. They're just looking at right now in this market at this point today, Bitcoin on a downward trend. So then you have people like kind of pumping it, just kind of dumping it. Oh, by the way, Grok, how is this going to affect us? The post highlights contradictory market signals: stocks up, oil down, gold up, Bitcoin down, home prices up, yields up. Effects: increased volatility could hit investments, raising borrowing costs and fuel inflation, impacting everyday savings, jobs, and living expenses. Diversify and monitor Fed moves for stability. You know what I mean? Looks like it's time to buy more Turbo. I'm not exactly in on Turbo yet. Let's go look at Turbo real quick, just in case. Boom, 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 boom. Turbo. Oh, hell yes. Buy Turbo. I'm not saying that you won't get wrecked. I'm not saying that you won't get wrecked on Turbo, okay? I'm not saying that it's going to hold its position. I'm not saying that it's going to at all. However, you had this big move up here, and then you have this dip back down, perfect Fibonacci retracement. Then you have that secondary pump, perfect Fibonacci retracement. Now you're kind of in that zone right now, and the market is about to flip bullish again. So I could see an easy, by the way, I'm not going to say Turbo above $1 billion. You can see a nice little 3 or 4x off of this. Maybe a 2x. Again, last time we ran to 500 million. Before that, 550 million. So it's declining a little bit. You're not exactly getting more value at this point. But from here to here is about 60%, 70%. So there is a potential. Now, if it breaks out, then $1 billion, 4x, something like that, maybe. It would not be a bad move, in my opinion, to buy yourself some Turbo today. Now, let's go back to what else did we have here? Boom, 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 boom. All right, so there we go. Devi. It's question time. What upcoming feature of the Devi ecosystem are you most excited for? Lending and borrowing, developer tools, Dev Exchange, or the new website? I don't give a shit about a new website, guys. I gotta be honest with you. If we get wrecked, what happens next? A massive move to the upside. I mean, guys, this is, I can't make it simpler than what you need to be watching. And it's not going to apply to every single crypto because every single crypto is not made the same. But the general trend of this market is right there. It's M2 liquidity, and it's playing out exactly as it's supposed to on the M2 liquidity. Okay. This is exactly right there, like right fucking there. All right. The market is still going to go up. The market is still going to go up, and the market is still going to go up. I'm not making this shit up. All right. We are in an uptrend. We are going to stay in an uptrend. Even when we say, oh my God, the market is dipping today, what are we going to do? Even if we say dumb shit like that, everything is still in an uptrend. I mean, look, you haven't seen Bitcoin prices this high or this low in 9 days. The fuck are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, it is about to get so much crazier in this market. And by the way, look at this right here. As we start to break this down, we start to move this around to try to find, like, what does it look like ultimately and stuff like that. Like, again, the market is not perfect. It just doesn't have it exactly right. But I think that I think this top is here. This top is here. This dip is here. This rip is here. This dip is right here happening right now. And then boom, 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 boom. We're about to go crazy. That is my opinion. Okay. And I'm a medical professional. I am a doctor of thugonomics. And if you call me John Cena, I will go nuts. I will go out of my fucking mind. Okay. Stop doing that shit. You had 4 people come up to me and tell me I look like John Cena in the last. First of all, let me just say this. I don't know how these people are not interconnected. They don't know one another. Okay. They have no idea who each other is. I know this for a fact. I know at least 3 of them do not. One of them might just be fucking with me. But I have so many people come up to me saying I look like John Cena or Brock Lesnar. First of all, kiss my ass to both of them. Okay. If you told me 10 years ago I look like John Cena, I would have been like, nice. Because it was 10 years ago. I think John Cena looks like a balding old man today. So if you are telling me that I look like John Cena, John Cena ever do this? Jesus fucking Christ. I do not wish. I did wish 10 years ago. I did wish 10 years ago. Not today. I'll take the Brock Lesnar comparison because he's ugly as fuck. And I agree that I probably am too. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take that. I'll take Brock Lesnar. As a matter of fact, I'm about to show you something that's ridiculous, stupid. And that's my own word, by the way. And if you can say ridiculous, dumb stuff, like if you can say ridiculous, dumb stuff, then so can I. All right, give me 1 second here. We're going to do this. We're doing it. We're going to do it. We're going to fucking do it. We're going to fucking do it. Talk shit to me like About 2 years ago, I took there was a day when they had, it's called Reface, I think it was. Is it the next big thing? I think it was called Reface. It was an app called Reface. And what I did is I put my face onto Brock Lesnar. Fuck. So, just so you guys understand, that is not Brock Lesnar. That is my face on Brock Lesnar. And there's no goddamn difference. So, if you tell me I look like Brock Lesnar, I don't like it. But I understand because we're both fucking ugly. You know what I mean? So I'll accept that one. All right. Now, crypto market crash. Why is everything falling today? Well, treasury yields rise massively in Japan, China, and Hong Kong. 1.7. This, by the way, this was earlier. It's now $1.7 billion in long positions that have been liquidated. So it is absolutely insane. And by the way, I know Cece is out there right now and it's driving her out of her goddamn mind because I'm saying stuff about John Cena and Brock Lesnar. and she's kind of in quiet mode, and she's just kind of lurking and not commenting. So I just wanted to say, aha. All right. So anyway, so Devi, I don't know what you're excited about, but I don't give a shit about this new website. I care about the Dev Exchange partnership agreement, and development tools, and then lending and borrowing. Okay. Lending and borrowing is how you're going to make your money on the Dev Exchange. For you and me, Dev Exchange is what you need in order for the Dev Exchange to come out. Let's put the Dev Exchange. Let's say that's the big one. Dev Exchange needs to have a partnership announced because it can't launch without it, because it's obvious and interconnected. So, everything's feeling really good for that perspective. It's just now it's a matter of time. Now, to give you guys some full disclosure here on Definity, I've still not been contacted by anybody from Definity, so we're no longer partnered with them. So I just want to let you guys know I'm going to sell this bag, not because I'm out on the project, but because I was approached a couple days ago about Xceller AI. You guys saw I did a video on it. There's 7 days left on the pre-sale. I'm going to put it all in on this pre-sale. I'm just going to see what happens here. Pre-sale has raised $230,000. There's a supply of 700 billion. 230 million have been done. By the way, I might not do the whole thing. I might not do the whole thing. You know what I mean? They gave me $1,000 for sponsorship for 1 month, and it's like $700 right now, even with a dip, by the way. So, I think I might maybe scale half of it out and put half of it into Xceller. So, and by the way, this is not sponsored and this is not promo. Okay. This is just, I did this video. I started reading, I started paying attention. I started looking at this, and this means, by the way, that if you use Xceller, then your transactions are untraceable. So they're using this thing called the Fox formula, and I'm not an expert on the Fox formula or anything like that, so I'm not going to speak intelligently on it. But I got a real sense here that this could be a really good one. And by the way, remember, anytime I get a chance to do some of this matrix background shit, I love anything that does that. And they're using code over here. It gives you that, what was that stupid with Rami, the big bug-eyed dude, where he was a hacker or something like that, but he wasn't really a hacker. He was just a hacker who was also a hacker. He was actually his own bad guy, something stupid like that. What was that dumb movie with the bug-eyed, the guy with the giant bug eyes? You know what I mean? The one that looks like the Hyde in Wednesday. Rami Malek, I think his name is. I'm pretty sure he played Freddie Mercury. But he was a hacker in some stupid movie on the USA Network. And by the way, it was a stupid show. I fucking hated that show. Like I couldn't stand that goddamn show. It was annoying. Boring. But it turns out, by the way, a Christian Slater was in it too. I do remember that. But Christian Slater wasn't a real person, or whatever dumb shit they said. It was awesome. Anyway, but anyway, this is that kind of stuff that you saw right there. Mr. Robot. There you go. It's called Mr. Robot. And he was by the way, spoiler alert, he was Mr. Robot the whole time. He just has multiple personality disorder. There, I just saved you a day of watching something ridiculous. All right. So anyway, Fox formula, have no idea what it is, but I'm bullish on the idea and the principle behind that sort of privacy. And the reason that I care about it that way, because unlike Tornado Cash, they're not going to go out and start arresting people on the streets. The Democrats are not in charge. So that's a pretty good thing, by the way. So, and by the way, we need to have some privacy and security as we enter this more fascist sort of nation. And look, you might be, by the way, you might be out on what I just said, and you might be like, oh, you're full of shit, but you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Brendan Carr, chairman of the FCC, threatened ABC with holding up their deal for a merger because of Jimmy Kimmel, and they put Jimmy Kimmel on ice because of that, and not the ICE that's gay, the ones that wear the masks and they like to attack other men, not those guys, not the, hi, I'm with ICE. Are you Mexican? You know what I mean? Not those guys. I'm talking about, real ice that's under 32 degrees ice. You know what I mean? 0 Celsius, by the way, if you're from overseas. Those guys, that ice, they shelved him because he said, and by the way, for those of you who didn't listen to what Jimmy Kimmel said, for those of you that didn't listen, what Jimmy Kimmel said that got them fired up was about Trump. It wasn't about Charlie Kirk. Just to be clear. So, and by the way, remember, there is a massive merger going on with these companies. So they're doing whatever they can to make that merger go through. Once that merger goes through, I'm sure Jimmy Kimmel's back on the air or something like that. Like I understand that they have a business reason for doing it, but the fact that it came from the FCC meant that guys like Sean Strickland has been attacking the president for the last couple of days. And Sean Strickland attacking the president is not something that the president wants, because Sean Strickland, he's a cult member. Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, all of the major influencers who no longer have to be cultists. Those major influencers who no longer have to be in the cult is what I mean. They're speaking freely and truly about how this is fascism. This is the exact version. This is the government controlling what you see and hear. If you don't like Charlie Kirk, don't listen to Charlie Kirk. If you don't like old Charlie Kirk, I should say, don't listen to old Charlie Kirk. If you do like Charlie Kirk, listen to Charlie Kirk. If you like Tim Pool, listen to Tim Pool. If you don't like Tim Pool, don't listen. Same thing with that Abby lady, the one on CNN. If you like her, listen. If you don't listen. But that's freedom. That's you. That's you making a decision. That is not the government threatening you and saying, we'll have to take matters in our own hands. If you don't do what we say, something bad could happen. You understand? It's like, you can't have, that's the opposite of what America stands for. So the Trump administration right now, tipping their thumb on freedom of speech. And by the way, this was declared illegal, not by somebody else, but by this Supreme Court. This Supreme Court declared the same circumstance illegal. There's nothing to contest here, by the way, just so you understand. When I say this, like, there's nothing that they can contest, because this is not a legal sort of appeal. You can't do that. You know what I mean? So yeah, hey man, I mean, look, if you're in the cult, you're not going to like it. If you want people silenced that you don't like, you're in, first of all, you're in a cult. No, number two, you're not going to like it, because I voted for Donald Trump. I get to talk shit. You know what I mean? If you voted for him and you still haven't seen the Epstein files and you didn't care anymore, it's because you were told not to care anymore. If you didn't like something, by the way, it's 9, 10, 11. How many years ago was Hillary going to get arrested? Like, when you tell me you're not being lied to every day, okay. I mean, who got arrested from the 2020 election? Look, they're great at messaging. They're great at making you scared. They're great. Look, the one thing that you can say about Donald Trump is he's great at making dumb people scared and think they're smart. Now, if you fall into that, that's you. Doesn't mean you're an idiot. Because there's principles that you live by that he has co-opted in a party. That's fair. He doesn't live by those principles. He doesn't act on those principles, but he does give you enough of those things, like, the things that don't happen. He makes you scared about the things that don't happen. Dave N says people are getting arrested in the UK for Facebook posts. Don't think the US is that bad yet. Not even close. That's a fair assessment, by the way. Luckily, I don't live in Europe. So So I don't give a shit what's going on over there. Should I? Maybe. Do I? No. Because I don't care. What I care about is what happens in the United States. What I care about is free speech being silenced by the government. And by the way, it is not a Donald Trump thing. This is, well, it is a Donald Trump thing in this regard. But don't think for a second that it didn't happen under Joe Biden. Don't think for a second that it didn't happen under the first. Actually, I don't think it really happened under the first Donald Trump. I don't think that really happened. I think that I think that at some point he was kind of a free speech absolutist in 2016 to 2020. But I don't think that I think right now he's just kind of, because there's a lot of cult members who would say crazy shit like, if you don't agree with everything that Donald goddamn Trump says, then you are a left-wing traitor, boy. You know what I mean? Stupid shit. There are people that are going to do that. So, but also Obama silenced plenty of people. George Bush silenced plenty of people. Clinton, Clinton got a lot of shit thrown at him over the years. So I think he was a free speech guy. And I think maybe the first W or the first George Bush, I think he was kind of like that. And I think Ronald Reagan, for the most part, was. They were good at messaging, but they weren't silencing people. The only constitutional rights that you've lost in the last 14 years is when Donald Trump banned bum stocks and when Donald Trump's administration silenced somebody because they didn't like what they were saying. However, again, I think Joe Biden did the same thing. I think Barack Obama did the same thing. I think they did it through shadier tactics. They did it from behind closed doors. They didn't do it right out in front of people. Like, they didn't go on the air and threaten somebody. You know what I mean? Like, the Biden administration went to Twitter directly or Facebook directly and stuff like that. So, also a lot of people gave a lot of people who don't deserve credit for having a brain, credit for having a brain. Like a lot of dummies. There's a lot of dummies out there who just, hey man, when I get up off of my flat earth and go through all of the 9 angles that Charlie Kirk was shot from, I'm pretty sure it was Lee Harvey Oswald that did it. You know what I mean? These fucking retards, like 9/11 was an inside job. You know who I'm talking about. You got them. You've seen them. Anyway, those people, they're crazy. However, if you are worried about the government censoring you, you don't have to be with Exceller, because guess what? They can't do it because they won't know that you're doing the transaction, allegedly, from the Fox formula. So anyway, long story short, I'm going to be buying some Exceller. The market, ouch. Going through this, you're going to see a lot of red right now. Look at this. Pi down 18%. Goodbye. Pump 16%. Goodbye. Aster is up 17%. The next level is going to be $10. Holy fucking shit, man. Look. Aster is now the number 48. Is now the number 48 crypto overall. It's had a whirlwind run, going from where it started up 10x. So it went from 200 million to 2 billion. And now anybody who's trying to use this as a springboard to get more people to follow them. Anybody who's trying to get, attention. Anybody pulling a Jake Gagan and it crashes Clay or something like that. Like, I called this a long time ago. You know what I mean? I see you put me on a timeout again. I don't put you on timeouts because I don't give a shit. It's not me. If you see me putting you in timeout, I would talk about it and I would say it. But you're not seeing me put you in a timeout. Somebody else is sick of your shit, though. But don't cry. I don't want you to cry. I don't want you to cry. You know what I mean? You shouldn't cry. You should be like, well, you know, they took our jobs. You know what I mean? They took our jobs. That kind of stupid shit. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so Aster, if you want to engagement farm people, Aster is a great place to do it right now. The rest of the market here, guess what? We're going to get to 30. When we get to 30, what are we doing? We're buying all the Bitcoin. We get down here. This is the day, by the way. This might be the start of that opportunity. We're down 125 billion on the day. The Dow Jones is up on the day. So what's going on? Capital rotation. It's going back into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's about to soar one more time. By the way, I sold my long at 116,000 yesterday when it was still up there. I think it was 116. It was 100. That's today. Yesterday. God damn it. What was yesterday's price? About 115,900. So I sold my long at about 115,900. But I got a new account funded during the live tonight. You'll be able to see it. So we'll be talking about that. And Ryo says Bitcoin to 170,000 soon. To me, that's relative. The answer to that should be yes, but I don't know for sure at this point. Like here's what I think on Bitcoin. Pow, 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 pow. All right. So, God damn it. Like I can't stop with, I just love drawing, I guess. I just love drawing. Next surge, 134,796. Now, guys, I want to point out something. If you guys don't remember, there was one person on the planet telling you 124,096 that Bitcoin was going to go to 124,096. Let me rephrase it for you. There was only one person telling you Bitcoin was going to $124,096. And he was telling you this a long time ago. Only one. Only one. Now, let's go look at, I'm going to move this all the way over here, and then we're going to change that number to 124,096. And this is the reason that even if you're in the cult, you still tune in because you realize I'm always goddamn right. Look at that. What number did I give you? 124,096. What did I tell you? I told you it was going to be on the dollar. Was it on the dollar? No, it was within $150 though. So it's awesome when that happens, right? Now, by the way, this is just me taking a victory lap. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think that we're talking about 134,800 as the next big move. Now, after that, that's where we get, we get a breakout. Whoops. We get a breakout to 134,796 or thereabout, 135,000, whatever the number is going to be. Then we get a break back down into this range at 117, 118,000. If you're lucky, 125,000. We kind of wick onto one of these tops over here. So we get that full breakdown, and then we get another rally, and then maybe we get a breakdown a little bit further. It always seems to happen. And then we get a break above going into, I'm going to say January, before we see 170 or 180,000 Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, maybe even into like May during tax time and stuff like that. We're getting close enough that tax time is going to be the thing. Now, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a solid breakout in October. We're looking at a lot of capital that's flowed into this market, sending us on that next surge. There it is. That's it. So sometime around the middle of October is where that top's going to be, most likely towards the end. I don't think that this is exactly right. Like, the more you kind of move this around, the more you realize like it seems to be kind of diluted into like the time frame is not exactly right. But we're about to go like so much higher. All right. Now, the other thing is the market has been muted, but the market likes to catch up. And when you start to, move around, you start to look at it, you're like, well, you know what? This upward momentum kind of stopped over here, even though we're seeing this upward momentum over here. So like, what is really happening right now? And basically it's just the market cycles. I mean, market cycles are not exactly 100%, but they're pretty close to matching up with money flow. So you're going to see that money flow continue. Now for the rest of the market, I think we broke down almost everything. Volt is having another run here. That's the XVM Volt. And then everything else is just kind of down for the day. But I hope, by the way, that you took a huge profit off of Runwago. I didn't see a whole bunch of tips in my wallet, assholes, but you did make a nice big bag off of this. Remember, you bought in at 351,000 market cap, and now you're sitting at 8.2 million market cap. So, you know, hopefully you made a nice big profit. Hopefully it ran super hard for you. Hopefully you loved what you got. Hopefully this was just absolutely awesome and you made a nice big profit. By the way, don't forget, Willard tipped me, I think, $50 the other day because he made so much money off of this. So if you did too, what are you doing, man? Anyway, that's my show. That's the time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Even if you're in a cult like Trail Boss, even if you're in a cult, I still love you. Despite the fact that you want to suppress freedom of speech, that you like fascism, just, hey, you're still an American. You know what I mean? Not as good an American as I am. I mean, I'm clearly better. That's, I got a flag up there behind me. Who does that? You know what I mean? We're Americans, real Americans. So, maybe you're a good American, not as good as me, but, good American. So we'll talk to you again very, very soon. It's not financial advice, but I'm always right.
I'm looking for the good life, good life. Sitting on top of the world. I wanna be shining like diamonds and pearls. I want